Today I'm reviewing a sub-ohm tank. Fucking what? Pleasant day fanny balls, I'm the Scotch Review and thank you for clicking on this video. And today I'm going to be doing my breakdown and review of the Aspire Revvo sub-ohm tank. Now I remember quite a while ago I said I would never review a sub-ohm tank because I just personally, for me, I didn't like the performance, I didn't like the price of coil heads, I just thought it was just wasn't a product for me and I just wasn't interested in it. However, I've made the exception to review this one because I feel like it's trying something a bit different. Mainly in terms of the coil head design, which you'll see as I go to the close-up. It interested me, so I agreed to do the review. So, big thanks to Gourmet Eliquid for shooting one of these out, for me to have a little toot on. Without fucking further ado, let's jump down so we can have a look at this little cunt, and we'll go from there. Well, anyway guys, so here is the box for the Aspire Revvo sub-tank. As you can see, it's got our standard TPD/TRPR warning labels on the front there. We've got nothing on the side. We've got all this, Shenzhen, iGate Technology Co., keep it out of reach of children minors. Then it's got some address in China with its contact numbers and a website and whatever. So this one is black. You can also get this in chrome and stainless steel. And then we've got our usual kind of fucking symbols and shit, like, don't chuck it in a bin, don't give it to fucking pregnant lassies or whatever. So we've got the 2mm Revvo tank, that is a 2mm e-liquid capacity. Comes with 2 coils, and as you see it says 0.1 to 0.16 because the coil varies for some reason. They don't actually kind of know exactly what the fucking ohmage is, they just have a rough estimate of where the ohms roughly sit. Comes with a spare glass tube. We get 10 O-rings, we get a warning card, a user manual, a warranty card, and a protective silicone cap. But anyway, without further ado, let's just slide this out, and I actually quite like this. It's a really nice, hard, plastic kind of box. Jesus Christ, I left that fucking horrible mark. Is that my finger? Jesus Christ. As you can see, it's just a nice kind of matte box which leaves fingerprints and fucking... If you've got greasy fingers, then you're going to leave fucking marks all over it. And the way this opens is, you've got a little tab here, so what you do is you just pop this, and it slides out all fancy, like this. So, contents of the box. 1 device warning card, a warranty card, a nice thick chunky user manual, spare O-rings, and a nice Aspire branded plastic bag. 1 spare coil. This is the, if I can get it out of the fucking bag, this is the silicone protective cap, what they were mentioning. Basically, you put this around the tank, and then you pop that over on top, and it stops any dirt and debris getting inside the drip tip or whatever. I probably would have used this if it was any colour other than fucking bright orange. If it was just black, or grey, or even white, I probably would have used it. But for some reason, it's fucking bright orange. We've got our spare Pyrex glass there. At least I think it's Pyrex glass. I'm just gonna throw a guess out that it is Pyrex because that's just kind of industry standard nowadays. And then we have the tank itself. So let's just chuck the rest of this to the side and have a look at the tank. Well, here we have the Aspire Revvo sub tank. Now this has an e-liquid capacity of 2mm, which is industry standard within the EU now, especially under the tobacco and related products regulations, also known as TPD, also known as TRPR, also known as cunts. They basically said that tanks and atomizers are not allowed to have a capacity more than 2mm, so I'm guessing most of you know this by now. Now, the design is fairly fucking simple. It's a top airflow, and we've got 3 airflow slits, so this is a very fucking airy tank, if that's something you like. The e-liquid's down at the bottom. No chance of it leaking through the bottom as we don't have a bottom airflow. The airflow control ring is nice and easy to move, and it has a little stopper, so it doesn't just infinitely spin. And then we have a drip tip. Unfortunately, there is no adapter for this, so you're stuck with this one, unless you can find one that screws on. This will not take a 510 or an 810. Now, one thing I do like about the design is how plain it is. There's no engraving, there's no logos, there's no markings on the tank whatsoever. It's just jet black, or murdered out, as some people would say. And then we've just got the Aspire Revvo branding and where it was manufactured, whatever, on the bottom. So, what I love about this tank is how easy it is to break down. So, here we go, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to take the drip tip off first. There is the drip tip portion. Pop that to the side. Next, the airflow control ring, which just lifts off. There we go. Let's pop that to the side. Now next is this actual huge housing at the top here. This just screws off. There we go. Now you're probably wondering, what the fuck is that funny shaped thing? Well, that is actually how you refill, surprisingly. I will show you exactly how it works later on, but for right now I'm just going to take the coil out. I am actually going to take the coil out of this one. As you can see, the coil's a little bit gunked up. I have been road testing this, and I've been using this for a solid kind of week and a half, 2 weeks to give it a thorough testing, and only now the coil's starting to get a bit of a funny taste to it. So about 2 weeks out the coil head using a huge range of e-liquid is probably what I'd deem as average for most coil heads nowadays. But in order to get the coil out, which as we can see is this thing here, we then unscrew this, and it has a really nice kind of jagged edge so you can get a grip on it. We pop that to the side, and in getting the actual coil out, it's just a case of getting a nail under this bit, and there we go. It pops out. So I'm going to get my new fresh coil that I'm going to pop in, but before I pop it in, let's have a little look at the coil. So here is the coil head for the Aspire Revvo, and this is, now you're starting to see why I was interested in this tank. It's doing something a bit different. It's got this kind of stove top coil design, so the coil fits kind of, would be up like this in the tank, so it wicks through the bottom and the vapor just comes straight from the top. But as you can see, very unusual, and I kind of like it. I kind of like it. This is the back side here, and as you can see, we have our pre-installed cotton for wicking. Interesting point. Because these kind of gaps around the coil head are so wide, you can actually pull this cotton out and re-wick it with cotton bacon. I've seen it being done, and that's also pretty cool. That means you can get extra life out the coils. If you're starting to get a funny taste, if the cotton that's in the coil head is all gunked up and horrible, but you feel like the coil itself has a little bit more fucking life in it, you could just re-wick the bastard. Now, I'm not going to say it's easy, because it looks like it could be a fucking nightmare, but it's doable. So, there's another plus point. And then the coil head has this kind of O-ring around the side, and this is what helps hold it into the actual housing of the tank itself. So let's pop this in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slip this through the top like that, give it a nice push, and as you can see, that sits nicely in there. Now we're going to get a funny little cone shaped thing and screw that back on. Now, I said I would show you how to refill this, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. This little prong here is actually on a spring. As you can see that moving up and down. So what happens is you take the nozzle from your bottle, you stick it into this little hole, right down the drip tip when the tank's fully assembled. If you give it a push down, it opens up some little holes in the bottom of the tank chamber here. And push it down, give the bottle a squeeze, and the tank fills up. It's pretty cool. It sounds mad, but it works pretty fucking well, and I kind of like it. So let's put this tank back together. That's the main housing back on, so we've just got to pop our airflow control ring on, like this, and then screw the drip tip back on. Done. That is our Aspire Revvo tank reassembled. So let's pop back up, put some liquid in it, and I'll give you my final thoughts. So here we are back up the top. I've got it sitting on the iDroid Captain PD270. I'm going to give it a little refill with some strawberry watermelon bubblegum by Candy King, which you can also grab on Gourmet Eliquid. Just saying. So, like I said, put it into that little nozzle bit, give it a little push down, and squeeze. There we go. No mess, no fuss. And it fills up. I like it. I like the fact I can refill this without having to unscrew bits, and it's not going to fucking leak everywhere. It's all good. It's all dandy. I do like that. So, since this is a fresh coil, I'm just going to let the liquid kind of soak around that. Give it a minute to get itself all ready. So, I found the sweet spot for this tends to be around 60 to 70 watts. I've got it sitting at 60 watts on the Captain right now, and the coil's reading at 0.12. The previous coil I had in read at 0.14. So 0.1 to 0.16 is the average range of this coil. That's where it's going to kind of land. Let's give it a vape. Performance-wise, it's okay. Now, what do I love about the tank? I love how easy it is to refill. I love how easy it is to take apart. I love the coil design. It's new. It's a new direction. It's good. What don't I like about the tank? It's a little bit too airy. You've got these 3 airflow slits, and I mean, if you have these all wide open, it's like sucking a vape through an open fucking door. It's so much air. It's just far too much. I find that closing it right down to like a quarter open on each kind of slit is about the bit. That's kind of the sweet spot I found for it. What else don't I like about it? Flavour isn't incredible. Now, it did take 2 or 3 days for the previous coil head to really break in to the point where I was actually getting fairly half-decent flavour off of it. So I know for a fact, since this is a brand new coil head, the flavour right now is going to be pretty shit. At least until tomorrow, day after, and then it'll really start picking up. But even when the coil was fully broken in, the flavour isn't quite there. You can taste the liquid, but not as much as I would like to. I was hoping with this kind of stovetop coil design and the close proximity of that kind of coil design to the drip tip, it's about the same as some RDAs, to be honest. I was hoping that was going to improve the flavour. Not really. I've heard a lot of complaints that this tank is really spitty. That it's spitting too much. People don't like this tank spitting. I've heard people say that it wicks too slowly. I haven't had any spitting on it at all. Even after refilling, after priming coils, I've not had any spitting on it whatsoever. That's actually, for me personally, that's actually a con. I like a little bit of spit. Just a little bit. Not fucking like drowning in the e-liquid. Just a little bit of spit. Adds to the flavour. That's about it. Just adds to the flavour. Another dislike about this is the fact that if you want to re-wick the coil head, you got to do that. You've got to do that for a few seconds and then pop back up, or you could just sit and just give the liquid a roll around inside the tank. It's very easy to get a dry hit on this. If you're sitting down and you're talking to somebody, you've got your mod like this, you're vaping every so often, and you've just got it like this, and you're talking to someone, you're distracted, you're not paying attention, you're going to get a dry hit from fucking hell. Like, seriously, it's what I'd imagine sucking a fart out of Satan's ass would be like. It's gonna destroy your lungs pretty much. So you've got to be wary of the fact that it doesn't wick like your standard sub-ohm tank coil head does. You can't just leave it upright and it'll wick itself. You've got to kind of force it a little bit to give it a fucking wick every now and again. So that's kind of what I like about it. Build quality is good. Ease of use is good. Coil design is not quite there, but I like the direction it's going in. The overall design is good. The flavour is half decent. The flavour is kind of there, but it's kind of not. It's a bit of a hit and miss. The airflow is a little bit too fucking airy, and it's very, very, very easy to get a fucking dry hit off it. So all in all, it's an okay tank. I like the direction it's going. Am I going to stick to this? Am I going to use this every day? Probably not. I might use it every now and again if I'm feeling extra fucking lazy. But just bear in mind that if you are going to be using this as a daily driver, the 2mm capacity does not last long, especially with this type of coil head. There's a lot of cotton there. There's a lot of liquid to soak up. As you can see, that's kind of half that tank gone already, and I've only just refilled it. But the fact that it's so fucking easy to refill, it's just a case of slotting it in and just getting it a squeeze. Because it's so easy to refill, that kind of balances it out. So, if this tank interests you, you can pick this up from Gourmet. There's a link in the description. They currently have it on for $29.99, which is about kind of average for a sub-ohm tank nowadays. And there we go, guys. That's my kind of thoughts and a little bit of a breakdown and show and tell of the Aspire Revvo sub-tank by Aspire. Fucking obviously. If you liked it, give it a like. If you disliked it, give it a dislike. And I'll see you again in the next video.